We're glad to have you back. Well, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has called on the federal government to urgently adopt fiscal policy measures to drive the country's non-oil exports, affects earnings, competitiveness, and industrialization of the economy. Speaking at the Chamber's quarterly press conference on the state of the economy, the President, Mr. Gribeli Dahusa, emphasized the importance of a strong fiscal policy that promotes exports and local manufacturing. He also called on government to address factors driving up production costs for manufacturers to enable the country's products to compete favorably. The SCCI president urged the federal government to pay more attention to the manufacturing industry by addressing issues of high interest rates, multiple taxation, and volatile naira, among others, limiting the country's industrialization drive. Well, Mr. Gribeli Dahusa joins me live from Lagos. He's the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's good to have you join the program this Friday afternoon. So can you hear me, Mr. President?
Yes, thank you very much.
Great. I can also hear you now. Now, I want to start with your submission talking about a strong fiscal policy by government that would address issues or promote non-oil exports and encourage local manufacturing. Can we get some specifics about this? What do you think government can do? Because we know that at this time, driving trade facilitation is very important.
Well, there are specific things that have been constant in the sense that in any economy, not just in the Nigerian economy, those things need to happen. One of them is the same question of power. There's no industrialized country in this world that does not have a very robust power structure that is almost certain to provide uninterrupted power almost all year round. Of course, anywhere in the world, you get occasional issues once in a while. But you need that basic infrastructure of uninterrupted, good quality power to support any industrialized society. So that's still remain the number one. The policies around that has been put in place now. There's a lot of hope that from now on, the power situation will improve rapidly, since each state is now fully empowered by law to regulate generation, transmission, and distribution of power. So a lot of states are now putting in place the basic law, the state market law. A number of states have done that. They've started to issue licenses, and you can see that in 6 months, maybe a year from now, a couple of the licenses issued will translate into actual power supply at various levels in the states. Once we have that, then that major issue will be out of the way. Then, of course, you want to talk of basic laws that still need to be refined. One of them is the land tenure system, where if you want to build a factory, you need first a certificate of occupancy, and then you need a mortgage deed confirmed with the state government for you to use the land for investment and fundraising. The system of land tenure is still very complicated. It takes several months in most states to get your certificate of occupancy and then to use it to get a bank facility, because you also need a governor's consent after you have got your certificate of occupancy. So that is another major issue that needs to be addressed across all the states. Of course, it requires removal of the Land Tenure Act, Land Use Act from the Constitution, or aggressive review of processes in each of the states. Some states have improved their systems, and you can get your certificate of occupancy maybe in a month or two. But in some states, it still takes anything up to 5 years or more just to get a certificate of occupancy. So those would be the two major issues to be addressed.
Apt, I must say. High interest rates, multiple taxation, and the volatile naira. 3 key issues here. But let's take the first two: high interest rates and multiple taxation. For high interest rates, we see the central bank trying to increase rates to rein in on inflation, and that's increasing rates. Real sector players are saying, no, that's not the way to go. It's affecting our businesses. Government is saying, no, we need to fight inflation. That's coming on that round. Multiple taxation. The Taiwo Edele-led committee, we see all they've been doing. They've come up with recommendations, and now we have everyone, the governors are picking holes. Everyone is trying to protect each other's interests. Now, everyone is saying, at the end of the day, we want a better, conducive business environment. What do you make of these two issues? Let's stay on them. I was talking about high interest rates and the taxation issues.
Well, how interest rates, you just have to look at the evidence in our face. The central bank has given its reason for continuing to increase interest rates. But what is the evidence in our face? With the subsequent increases of the interest rate by the central bank, have we seen the inflation rate going down? That is just a matter of evidence. We don't need to get into an argument with central bank at this point whether using interest rates to fight inflation theoretically or practically is the correct thing to do. But the fact is, what is the evidence of the success of that effort? And the business community, I have said again and again, the reigning inflation by interest rates is following the classic economic theory, monetary policy theory. What does it apply to the situation we find ourselves? Why do we have high inflation? The biggest driver of high inflation is food inflation. So insufficient food not being produced in Nigeria, and the population is growing. Now, how does increasing high interest rates reduce food inflation? The central bank may have an answer, but the ordinary Nigerian knows the reason why we have food inflation, high food inflation, is that our farmlands are not safe for farmers to farm. And so interest rates has nothing to do with that. So increasing the interest rates to 100% is not going to make the farmland safer. And if you don't make the farmland safer, we will not produce enough food and you will have more food inflation. So that is why you will always have the business community and observers not agreeing with CBN that doing what it's doing is going to significantly reduce inflation. So what are the things that will reduce food inflation? You make the farmland safe. What do you want to do to make the farmland safe? You want to have a robust policing system that is effective throughout the country. And how do you do that in all the other countries? We can't invent a new system. Policing is done at various levels. You have the federal level, you have the state level, then you have community, metro, or county police that can make our rural areas safe. You can't, the fighter jets cannot make the rural areas safe. You can't have fighter jets flying all over the entire length and breadth of Nigeria trying to keep our farmland safe. You need police people on the ground who are doing 24-hour patrol of our rural areas. That is what has kept most countries safe. In any rural area in countries that are safe, you find police patrol. Almost every 1 hour, you find police patrols flying by your house. And you feel the presence of police and you are safe. So the number of people who want to commit crimes are very few. But we are still struggling after many years, maybe 15 to 20 years, the last 15 to 20 years, when it was evident that the federal police alone cannot deal with. We are still struggling to have policing at other levels. So until you deal with that, whatever interest rates CBN is doing, it's not going to produce more food on the table. It's not going to reduce food inflation. So the other thing that is driving inflation is transport costs. We are now seeing that coming down because the actions are being taken with the CNG buses and the electric vehicles that we are seeing coming out. But as we expand that, you will see transport cost inflation coming down. Again, nothing to do with interest rates. So that is the issue of the interest rates and central bank. But central bank insists that it must continue with this classic monetary policy of continuously increasing interest rates in the hope that at some point, inflation will come down.
So what's also your take with regards to taxation, the new tax bill that is expected or that has been generating comments from all and sundry?
The tax policy is, the new tax bills are in the interest of all the states, all the governors that are complaining. Because what does it do? If you attract more business to your states, if you grow the economy in your states, you will generate more value-added tax. And you will enjoy the full benefit of this law. It is that simple. And so governors who are complaining that the old system should be retained, where some states generate all the VAT, and we governors who don't generate VAT continue to share the VAT generated by some other states. That is the whole point of the opposition. But a tax system is supposed to have an incentive, a fiscal incentive objective. And one fiscal incentive of tax is to encourage you to do those things that will make you earn more tax as a state or as a country. And that is what the new laws are trying to do. They are giving the states the capacity to generate more VAT by attracting more and more businesses to be located in their states. So the states now need to now address their ease of doing business policies and systems and structures and attract more and more business to their states and build more and more VAT revenue and get that benefit of the portion of VAT that is assigned to the location of the business. It is not this kind of agitation that will help the states, neither the state governors themselves or the people of their states. And a lot of people in the states concerned have been coming out to say so, that what you want to do is look at the law critically, look at the incentive value that the law is giving, and take full value of it. You have states now having investment summits, attracting a lot of local and foreign investors to their states. Those are the states that will be the first beneficiaries of the new law. The other states that are still dilly-dallying now, we have to catch up. They have to put a lot more effort to make their states attractive to investors, both local and foreign investors. You have local investors in Nigeria who are only operating in some states, which they consider safe and investor-friendly. As more and more states become more and more investor-friendly, they will attract more investments and they will attract more VAT income generation in their states, and they will be beneficiaries of the law. So that is what we should be talking about, how the states should aggressively make their states investment-friendly, not just for foreign investors, because we talk too much about foreign direct investment. There are local Nigerians who are investing across many states, but they are avoiding many states who are not investor-friendly and are concentrating on those states that are investor-friendly. So that should be the conversation. How do we make all our states investor-friendly so that each state in Nigeria can generate more and more value-added tax as it provides more and more incentives for investors to come to their states?
Now, before we wrap up this conversation, it's important to note that we have a new minister for industry, trade, and investment in the person of Dr. Jumoke Oduwole. And we know that there's a lot of activities expected around that ministry. And it has a lot to also do with you in LCCI, a lot of advocacy that you do, talking to government and all the businesses that you get involved in. What would you say, or what sort of conversation are you expecting from the new minister moving forward very quickly?
The entire business community and certainly the organized private sector have had continuous conversations with the new minister for all the years, 7 or 8 years now that she was in charge of the Federal Environment, Enabling Environment Business Council. So we have very familiar conversations with her all the time. And of course, the sentiment in the business community is that she's very well informed about the issues and will continue those conversations. And now she has the capacity to push implementation of those policies at the Federal Executive Council, which she did not have before. So we are quite optimistic that if she gets the the support of the Federal Executive Council on the policy innovations and review that she's bringing to the table, we will see a much improved investment environment from next year.
Seeing a good investment environment from next year. I must thank you so much, President, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Very nice talking to you. Thank you for sparing out time out of your busy schedule. Enjoy your weekend. I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, then I've been speaking to Mr. Gabriel Idahosa there. He is the president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You know, when you talk business,